For some, the smooth glide of a pen is the best way to write, while others like different shades of graphite and the ease of erasing out a mistake. Let's pencil in our reasons for preferring pens or pencils, and write out why whiteout is or isn't worth using pens. Today on Talkily. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Talkily. This is Alvin,
Melanie,
Cody,
Laura,
and today we are talking about whether or not we prefer pens or pencils. I don't know about you, but I prefer pencils.
I'm going to go rogue and sit on the fence. I love erasable pens. They are the best of both worlds, and I've found a truly remarkable line within the last week, and I actually went and bought some.
I think you just need to stop sitting on the fence and make a choice, you coward. No, I've never actually had a pen that erases. Does it actually stick to the paper well?
Yes. I mean,
Okay.
the one that I just found, there is a temperature range,
Okay.
whereas if you I wouldn't sign legal documents with it. In fact, I think there's a disclosure saying do not sign legal documents with this.
I wonder why.
And I assume that it'll probably fade over time. But for making to-do lists at work, or even just keeping basic sort of journal of daily activities, I find it really, really useful. And I mean, sometimes if I'm in a rush, or it depends on what I'm doing, I'll just cross it out and I won't bother erasing. But it's really nice having that option, especially when I'm writing, and I do mean writing notes to my staff, that I'm I really needed to revise that entire sentence. I can just erase it and move on with my life.
Well, there used to be a point where, with the, speaking of the erasable pens, where you couldn't do that, or it would always leave a really bad smudge. Now, actually, there are some out there that are really, really good. It's like it was never there.
That's interesting, because I just remember the erasable pens from when I was a kid, where you had the half of the pen eraser that was supposed to erase ink and did not do a very good job and just tore your paper to shreds. Or the erasable pens that just always, the marks were always still there no matter what you did. So I would be interested in these new erasable pens. However, I've not historically been a fan.
I went through middle school with all erasable pens. I actually would specifically source erasable pens. I hated how they wrote, but I loved the fact that I could correct my mistake. And no one would mostly know.
That's not surprising, knowing you from middle school.
Well, then why a pen versus a pencil? Because if you can more easily erase a pencil, Mark, why stick with a pen?
It depends on how much you're writing, because if you're having to sharpen your pencil every X number of minutes, I like the consistency that you get with a pen. Plus, also when you are handwriting, like I still do, I find using pen gives me the flow and consistency to create the swirling letters that is...
You do have beautiful handwriting.
It's true.
She handwrites like a Victorian lady. You have not seen Laura's handwriting, but it is lovely. It is worth using a good pen.
We will put up a sample for you to see just how it is quite beautiful. Mine's crap.
Yeah, mine too. I've forgotten how to do it prettily, and yeah, I don't believe I have a strong preference for pencils or pens. It really depends on context and what I'm writing. For me personally,
depends.
It depends. Yes,
I'll see myself out.
Pun unintended, but I will accept it.
Do you mean pen unintended?
Well, I wish I could white out that one.
And the episode devolves into puns. Yep. Cody, do you have a preference, since you called Laura a coward for not stating one?
Yeah. You have not. It's because I'm a hypocrite.
I think you protest too much.
I like both, actually.
Yeah, me too. We're in the middle. We're sitting in the middle. We'll be in the
I'm
middle.
right here on the fence with you.
That said, I mean, when I draw, I definitely prefer working with specifically a 2B pencil. Not an HB, 2B.
I'm not an artist, so I can't speak to that. But I mean, I do know that, if I'm writing things day to day, if I'm just writing notes myself, I do often, just prefer pencil. But, if I'm writing anything that, again, you want to last or that anybody else is going to see, then definitely be pens. But, and you mentioned having to sharpen pencils, Laura, and I think now we have the lovely mechanical pencils, and there are some quite nice ones now that are very, useful.
I wanted to bring that up because actually I consider myself a badass.
Oh yeah,
when my lead goes out, I just and keep on trucking.
The worst though is when you click and there's nothing there.
Oh my goodness! You know what's even worse? Flipping it upside down to use the eraser, and the eraser's gone. Because those erasers on those pencils never seem to last.
No. I also hate when it's the eraser you have to pull out to refill the mechanical pencil, and you've already worn the eraser down to nothing.
And you can't do it.
You can't do it. You have to almost get like a wine, like...
You'd have to get
open it like a wine bottle. Yeah.
Or a pencil or another pen to... Is that like sacrilege to use a pen to like dig out the eraser portion?
I think if you're going to go with the mechanical pencils and you're a die-hard mechanical pencil person, you might as well just go and invest in a really nice mechanical pencil that you can refill that does not involve you having to take out the eraser portion. I used some beautiful, beautiful ones when I was in drafting, when I was taking my theatrical design course, and I still covet the one that I purchased for myself.
Has anyone used a ink pen? Yep. The old-timey, old-fashioned...
Like, calligraphy?
Yeah.
I have tried. I have tried to do some calligraphy.
Did you fail too? Because I failed.
I'm still wanting to go back to it. When I was a child, I had, a calligraphy book, and I had a calligraphy quote-unquote pen. It was not one of the ones that you dip in ink, but it was one that, you put the ink cartridge into. So I guess it is a real calligraphy pen. Again, it was for children, so who knows how good it was. But that one was fairly easy to use. I have tried to use one where you dip it in the ink, and that is where I fail because I do not have that.
I think we should retry it. When I did it, I was very young, and I ended up, I think I ate the ink.
Oh no.
That explains so much.
A lot of things started making sense. Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm gonna try to use that myself because it's been so long now that I'm talking out loud about it. It was so long ago. I just want to see what it's like because that's how they wrote back then. That's how it was done, right? Until the invention, I guess, of
ink cartridges that you would put in. Yeah, so you can get calligraphy pens with ink cartridges. But
I completely forgot about those types of pens.
But the ones where you dip them in the ink, can be quite difficult to use because there's only so much ink that you can pick up at one time. You have to really get the right flow to your handwriting or whatever you're writing, because otherwise it will, scratch the paper, stop or stutter, leave big blobs of ink around. So it's a skill definitely that we don't have anymore, but it's fun to try.
I really love the ones that you don't that don't actually require a cartridge, but you buy the ink in the little jars, and then you can just sort of fill the well.
I think that's what we're talking about, yeah. Or
well, no, because there are cartridges, right?
There's cartridges that you can load.
Oh, there are wells,
and there's ones that just have like essentially an ink well that you fill up. And I prefer using those over the cartridge ones because I find the cartridge ones often dry up if you're not using them regularly, or they just tend to run out more than the inkwell ones.
I have not tried that kind. I'll have to look for one.
Wow, that just blew my mind.
Yeah,
Here I was thinking this episode would be boring, and
we just all really like calligraphy, apparently.
Have you guys heard about the story about the space pen?
Yes.
Yes. For those of you who don't know, NASA spent millions of dollars trying to create a mechanical pen, mechanical pencil that would write in space. And the story goes that the Soviets just gave their astronauts, their cosmonauts, a pencil instead of spending all this money, which I guess in the long run actually wasn't actually a good idea, because I guess the graphite and the shavings or whatever could get in the instruments. They were flammable, which NASA really doesn't like.
They have not had the best track record. I mean, the Russians haven't either, but
that's a fiery argument, Laura.
Yeah. Government in general,
yeah.
Yeah, well, but millions. And apparently, I don't think it was actually NASA who invented the so-called space pen. But there is a pen now that can write upside down, in various pressures, etc. in space, right? And I guess for me, I'm just thinking about the advancements of pens and pencils. Are we going to get to the point? Because now we have styluses which write specifically on screens, right? And when they first came out, I mean, they were okay. It was more or less just a point and click and whatever. Yeah. But, now I'm drawing on my tablet with my fancy stylus, and, the pressures you can apply, the glide, etc. They have styluses that feel like pencils. How long before we get into a situation or, where they have interactive paper where whatever device you have in your hand it doesn't matter whether you prefer pens and pencils, it can feel like either. Right. And you can do some of the stuff on on paper that you can only now currently do on a screen.
I think, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, there is kind of an attachment like that you can get. I cannot remember who makes it. You clip it onto the top of like your notepad or whatever, and it scans what you draw as you draw it, and you can click in on different layers and stuff. So it's like you're drawing on paper as if it's a Photoshop document.
That's
kind of a
awesome.
thing.
Yeah,
I remember coming across that about like 5 years ago, but it doesn't seem like it actually took off.
It might come back, right? There might be advancements of it in that regard.
Yeah, it might have been just a little ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, some of that comes down to like, what is the software being used for? What are the developments in the software? And also, how costly is it to engineer, and how resource heavy is it to manufacture? As we become more environmentally concerned, and resources become scarcer, that will inevitably affect what sort of technological advancements we're seeing, especially when it comes to what we could probably term as a relatively frivolous.
Well, not to somebody who that's their job.
No,
I mean, yeah,
but the bread and butter, Laura.
Yes. Oh, I love art. I don't think art is frivolous at all. And I mean, there are certainly other applications that I'm probably not even thinking about where this kind of technology would be extremely useful. But when you're looking at the grand scheme of things and you're going, okay, I have to, rip up the earth X number of meters down to get this resource, but only, let's say, 5% of the Earth's population will use this.
Yeah, there has to be a reason.
There has to be a compelling reason to do that. And capitalism can only take us so far.
Well, then again, I mean, we all seem to love our technology enough that everybody keeps buying things, and I feel like maybe there was some sort of, who knows how well, you don't get to test this technology, Cody, did you? So
No, I just came across it online.
Right. So who knows how well it actually works in practice? It might look great online, but if there was any sort of glitch in the way it actually worked, maybe if you held the paper the wrong way, again, I'm just completely guessing, if it tips or something, is it still going to work the same way? Maybe it just needs a little tweaking in order to come back, Yeah,
well, I can see a situation wherein, there's a callback for that, because right now, especially nostalgia is a big thing. There are still people who they prefer the old style pencils or pens style, but
analog,
analog, yeah. But I can see a situation wherein for whatever reason it makes a comeback, where it's more feasible for someone to draw on a piece of paper, or they want or need the feel of that. right? All it needs is a push, right? And it could be a stopgap between that and future technologies we just don't know about, right? I mean, I'm sure 20 years ago, people didn't realize that, four schmucks can just get on in front of a microphone and then record a show and broadcast to millions and hopefully millions of people. Especially.
But who would do that?
I know.
Who wants to hear our opinions? Yeah.
But you also have
My mom does.
Mine too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Mom.
Cody and our parents, or my parents, don't care.
Yeah.
My dad certainly doesn't, but he's not technologically savvy. So do the artists have anything else to say about drawing or
I love the
pencils
stylus.
or pens?
I love using my stylus.
I do like the stylus a bit more purely because I am left-handed, and no matter what I use, my hand's going to be like covered in ink. So the stylus helps offset all of that.
Yeah.
You just need to become like Da Vinci and write backwards.
Ooh. Challenge extended.
I don't want to.
That's
Challenge rejected.
fair. What I was going to bring up was from a more information management aspect is that pen and paper or pencil and paper to a lesser degree, there is still a guarantee that something can exist as long as nothing untoward happens to it.
Don't set it on fire.
Don't set it on fire. Don't put in a flood.
You do bring up a good point because in a dystopian future where there's no electricity, no, really, right? If you think about it, it could theoretically, yes, not even a dystopian future, but which is not even a fantasy like that. But let's say there is an electrical fire, a storm, an emergency, a real world emergency. If you have to write a quick note to your loved one and you don't have electricity, pen and paper, pencil and paper, even if you just have a pen and a surface of any kind, you can leave a message, right? Can't do that with a stylus, at least not yet. Thanks again for joining us today on Talkily for another cool discuss. Joining me today for Pencils and Pens was Laura, Cody, and Mel. Intro-outro music is Illuminate by Ethan Rank, found on ArtList. All additional music also acquired through ArtList. All images and videos in our show acquired through Pixabay. Podcasting services acquired through Spreaker. Please hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. If you enjoyed the show, please visit cooldiscuss.com, check out our merch store, or consider a donation so we can continue producing awesome content. Please keep in mind we are just normal everyday people talking about things we think we know something about. We are not experts on any of this. Always take everything you hear, read, or see with a grain of salt. Never get all your information from only one place, and always be willing to question. This is AWC thanking you once again for joining us.